The Maharal had shown that at the beginning of creation, you find the three terminologies mentioned in the Pasuk. You find Bria, you find Yitzira, and you find Asiyo. It says Vayas, Vayivra, Vayitzer. What exactly? He's going to explain these three expressions. Pirush ki loshem Bria nemar al tzura hanivdeles eloki shedovek b'nivroim. There's a certain profile which is unrelated to physicality, which has relevance to creation. That's Bria. Zeki odom ksiv bei beferush betzelem elokim oses odom. It says betzelem elokim. In the image of God, He made man. Shetedom izeki dovek betzuras odom in eloki. Man has some relevance to godliness, the human being. Chen b'shvayim v'oretz shem klal ha'olam. Ein sovek shedovek mem in eloki. L'chein kach siv loshen bria. He's learning a whole different thing. Bria indicates, he refers to as the tzura nivdelis. This is the expression of Maharal. Something which is unrelated to physicality. It's a spiritual imprint. Of course, Hashem, he mentions many. So what do you do with that? He says the world is all-encompassing also. This is the Ramak, and once mentioned, the Ramak says, we say in Birchas Krishma, what David says, based on what David says, Ma Rabu Masech Hashem. Right, what's Ma Rabu? See, he explained, Ma Rabu doesn't mean how abundant. Rabu means it's the dimension of what it is. It's exalted, Ma Rabu. He says the imprint of the Rav is noticed in the creation. In Marabu Ma'asecho, God could have brought something about which His imprint is not obvious. Marabu Ma'asecho, the imprint of the Rav, of the Odon, is noticeable in His Ma'asecho. Right? It's similar to the Tzelem Elokim. He's saying that's what he's saying in regard to, we find Bria by Shemayim V'Oretz, because since he says it's all-encompassing, that's the totality of existence, the imprint of that Elokim, the Tzura Nivdelis, the godliness, is there. So what? V'chein Tanin Agdolim Shekos M'Porshem Taninim Gedolim Ulefi Godlom Acheim Brio Niflo Dovik Ben Inin Eloki Nemer Etzlum Loshem Brio. Yeah, that's the reason saying something else. So Bria doesn't mean ex nihilo necessarily over here. Bria means something which has to do, it reflects the spiritual profile, God's involvement with it. Because here it's most obvious. Heaven and earth, it's most obvious. God's imprint. The human being, it's obvious. And he says these sea serpents. It's interesting. If you take a look in the Gemara of Basra, Marva speaks in Basra about the Levioson. I mean, it's something which is not to be believed in terms of its when its breath, when it breathes, the vapor that comes out of its mouth is like, we're talking about, could vaporize anything. The heat, and when it goes through the ocean, the wave that it makes, anything which is within its proximity immediately is pulled to the bottom of the ocean. We're talking about it's beyond our imagination of what the Leviosan is. We talk about a lahavdil, a sea monster. This is talking about 100,000 whales in one being. I mean, that's what the Leviosan is, and that's why it's at the bottom of the ocean, and that's why it says taninim, but the Yura is deleted. God killed one of the mate because it would have procreated. Wouldn't be a world. They would have destroyed the world. It's not possible. That's how large and how whatever they are, all encompassing these creatures are. So the dimension that's Bria. That shows God's imprint. No, because anything alive had a mate. That's the reason why. There's no such thing. That is the profile of existence. Anything that has life, there's a counterpart. There's a male, there's a female. Besides, what do? He put it away for the tzaddikim los lovo. Hmm? Well, the surviving one lives forever, lives till the end of time. Yeah. One of them lives. The other one was killed. In the ocean somewhere, at the bottom of the ocean, there's the Livyosan. What, the Livyosan? The Psukim, the Gemara Chagig, it says Hashem plays with the Livyosan. What does it mean? He plays with it. We're talking about it's something on a spiritual level. It has a certain spiritual representation. He's Misachik with Livyosan. What is Misachik? Whatever that means. He says, what is Yitzira? Something which is the physical form. There's the spiritual profile, and there's the physical. The Loshin Yitzira shel Loshin Tzor Tzura. Shenatzura ev shel lamod rak v'choim v'zenose. You form. It's formation. Formation means you have material, and you form it. Bria, it's unrelated to the what? To the physicality. It's something cited in certain Sforim, the difference between a human being and an animal, that a human being, based on his mood, it shows on his face. That's the whole idea of ponim, pinim. You know, ponim means pinim. Howard is shaking his head. Meaning the face reflects everything that's contained within the person. That's why there's such a thing as chochmas hapartzuf. You know, people, you can see, if you know how to read one's face, it's more than reading one's face. It's not we're talking about a person has a poker face, you know. Right? Everything is on the person's face. So a person, whether he feels well, whether he's exhilarated, whether he's satisfied, an animal, you don't see that on an animal's face, you know. You know, Homer, the dog, looks the same Homer. Happy, not. The only thing you have to look at his tail, see if it's wagging. Yeah. But the face is the same face. So it's real not part of the physicality of the person. That has to do with something inside the person. That's the tzurei lokis. That's the imprint. It's not the physicality. It goes beyond the physicality of the person. This has to do with the intellect, with the emotion. That has to do with the neshama. That's already the spirituality of the person. Uleficha tzura shi b'chomer. What's a tzura? It's an imprint, right? It's interesting. The Mishnah tells us in Sanhedrin that it says really every child of Adam and Chava should have looked the same, right? He says if you have one die and you mint coins, every coin is identical to the other coin, but yet regarding the human being, every human being is slightly different. They all look human, but each person has a uniqueness in his face. So the Gemara asks why. The Mishnah asks why. It says for many reasons. There could be a problem with Eshes Ish. With this, each person should be able to identify his mate. That's one of the reasons given in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin. Or else, just as one's face is not the same, everyone has a slight different feeling or perspective than the other. Right? You have a different perspective. But that's tzura, it's chomer, it's like an imprint, it's like minting coins. That's what it is. Loshin tzira, like animals. Every animal is identical to the other animal. I mean, it's slight, but you have animals that are literally identical. It's not like the human being. You know, it's like, say chimpanzees. They all look alike, but if you're a chimpanzee, then they don't. That's what you say. Okay? Like, when you return from, I don't want to say from a certain location in the world. They all look the same. Okay? Ulakach. I'm not talking about Muncie. Okay? Ulakach etzel odom shaykh loshin tziro. Ki yodua nigla shabahima v'chayis yishlam tzur mudbas b'chomer. Ulakach etzel zeh loshin yitziro. Cheno odom yeshlo tzura shi mudbas b'chomer. There's something, the physical form of the person, of the human being, that's Yitzira. That's addressing the physicality of the person. Although the human being also has that spiritual profile. There's the physical form of the person. It's interesting. When it says Vayitzer, it's two yuds, right? By the animal, it says one. It's Vayitzer is one yud, By the human being, it's two yud. So the Gemara says in Eruvin, second parak, it addresses, we have two yetzes, we have two inclinations. Yetzer tov, yetzer ra. The Gemara says, oili mi yitzri, oili mi yotzri. You know, we're in a battle. Woe to me because of my evil inclination, woe to me because of my maker, yotzri, my creator. You do the right thing, you're okay, but you got a problem with your yetzer hara. Gives you the business. You give it to yetzer hara, so then you have a problem with your maker, with Hashem. That's the double yud. When a pirshki lo shach ze rak etzel odom etzel behemo ki gam el kol hanevroim yesh tzurim mudbas b'chomer yach etzel odom etzel behemo nira biyose kosev loshen ze befrat etzlom. No, there is a commonality. There's the physical aspect. No, definitely. There's a physical form. The human being looks like the physical form, right? You know, you have two eyes, the shape of the face, basically all these things. If you take a look at Nefesh HaChaim, the first Shorim are semi-Kabbalistic. It's Kabbalah. I mean, he speaks about the stomach, the intestines, that this corresponds to certain things, you know, achilos karbonos. He speaks the whole thing, that each part of we're talking about the inner organs, even the outer part of the body, each one has a representation. The Ramchal speaks about Eini Hashem al Oretz, the eyes of God. A human being also has eyes. We speak about God's hand. A human being has a hand. There's a correlation between Hashem in terms of a certain level of representation. So everything we have, every part of the body, is only really a representation of something else in the spiritual realm. That's what it is. So even the physical imprint of the human being, besides what he speaks about, the bria of Vayeira Sa'odam, which is the Tzura Nivdelis, which is the spiritual profile, but even the physical is a representation of something in the spiritual. Okay, let's see the halacha. No, the leaders, not the people. Yeah. A what? Even a what? Go ahead, tell them. I remember, it's a story of my mashgiach. There's a sefer called from the Rav Chaim Vital. Chaim Vital was the primary Talmud of the Arizal. He recorded all the Kisvei Arizal. He recorded it. He was designated by the Arizal. There's a famous story with the Arizal that, you know, it says the Bereshel Miriam is in the Kinneret. Was hidden. The Chazal say was hidden in the Kinneret. It says if you look at a certain location, you can see like something else flowing in the Kinneret. So the Arizal passed away. He was very young. He was 34 years old when he passed away. And his successor was the Arizal. That was his primary Talmud. Rav Chaim Vital was his, and also he say it was crucial that he should retain all his teachings. You know what kind of memory you need. So he went and he showed him Bereshel Miriam, and he gave him to drink from Bereshel Miriam. And when you drink from Bereshel Miriam, you have a retentive memory. And as a result, he was able to remember everything that he taught him. That he forgot nothing after he drank from. That's the reason why he gave him to drink. And then he was able to record after he passed away. He recorded all his teachings. That's the Kisvei Arizal were recorded by Rav Chaim Vital. So my mashgiach, famous, unbelievable story. Howard, we need a battery. So after the war. JTS had. If you remember, in the 70s, there was in the 80s, there was a fire in JTS. There was a fire, and the damage, and it wasn't in whatever it was, and they had first copies. A lot of the Svarim were destroyed. It was from those Svarim that came from Europe. But there were many other containers that they weren't interested in. So the yeshivas got. If you learned yeshivas in the 60s, many of the shasin you learned in Europe, in yeshiva, the Rambams, was all printed in Europe. We even had shasin that were printed in Shanghai. In Shanghai, there was shasin that printed an old one. And the paper was falling apart. Some of them was good, some were almost ready to go into Shemus. So my Rishiv had a phenomenal library. Thousands and thousands. Many of the Svarim came from what he picked himself from, right after the war, what he picked. So my Mashgiach was there right after the war. He came from Shanghai. So he says to Mashgiach, why don't you go take some Svarim for yourself? See, in Europe, he left over, it's called Shari Ora. It's from the Chaim Vital. And he wanted to, he didn't have it. It wasn't reprinted. Right after it wasn't reprinted. So he goes and he sees the Shari Ora in the container. He opens it up. It says David Krongles. It's his Shari Ora from Europe. That was the Sefer. So I was once looking through the Sefer. It was in the Beis Medrash. It was there, and he has in Shari Ora that Rav Chaim Vital says that even a goy has a tzelem elokim, and he has it underlined. You understand? He has it underlined, meaning when you look at, especially after Europe, what these goyim were, they were barbarians, So they should have a tzelem elokim. Say even that he underlined it, that even the goy has a tzelem elokim, because you think it's not simple. Because after Chet Adam Rishon, maybe they no longer have the tzelem elokim, right? Maybe they lost it. No, Chaim Vital writes that even after the Chet Adam Rishon, the non-Jew also has a tzelem elokim. That's the story. Okay, let's see the halacha. And has miraculous powers. Tell you one thing about Alan. Came back from Prague. He was an expert in Prague. He had the best tour guide. Comes back on the tour from Ir David, expert. Gives it over exactly. Okay,